Barry Link's polished Italian leather shoes clicked against the sleek marble floor as he strode through Mega's corporate headquarters. The setting sun cast long shadows through the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting Silicon Valley's landscape in shades of amber and gold. He found Lark Ferguson exactly where he expected, standing before a wall of screens displaying real-time user engagement metrics from Mega's various platforms. Beautiful, isn't it? Lark gestured at the screens without turning around. 2 billion active users, all of them voluntarily giving us their attention, their data, their minds. Barry settled into one of the ergonomic chairs in the minimalist office. And that's exactly why I'm here, Lark. The Order believes it's time to accelerate our influence campaign. Lark finally turned, his boyish face betraying none of the power he wielded as one of the world's most influential tech moguls. You're talking about Operation Mindscape? Indeed. Barry pulled out his tablet, displaying a complex flowchart. We need to coordinate across all entertainment vectors. Movies, television, social media, gaming. Everything must work in concert to keep the masses distracted and divided. We're already pushing targeted content to create social division, Lark said, taking a seat behind his desk. The algorithm ensures people only see what reinforces their existing beliefs. Echo chambers within echo chambers. Barry leaned forward, his voice dropping to a near whisper despite their privacy. It's not enough. The Order wants more aggressive manipulation. Your gaming platforms, for instance, we need to increase the addictive mechanics. Keep them playing longer, thinking less. The new Mega VR system you're developing? Make it so immersive they'll prefer it to reality. And the social components? Critical. We'll use the entertainment industry to normalize extreme viewpoints, create artificial conflicts. Your platforms will amplify these messages, create trending topics that pit communities against each other. The key is to keep them angry, keep them fighting amongst themselves. Lark nodded slowly, pulling up a holographic display of Mega's upcoming projects. We're launching a new feature next month, AI-driven content that adapts in real time to user emotional responses. It's designed to trigger maximum engagement through emotional manipulation. Perfect. Barry's thin lips curved into a smile. And the streaming services we control will complement this by pushing shows and movies that reinforce feelings of helplessness, social isolation, and dependency on technology. When people feel alone and afraid, they're easier to control. What about the resistance? There are still some influential voices trying to wake people up. That's where your content moderation tools come in, Barry replied, his eyes glinting. We'll label anything that threatens to expose us as misinformation. Your algorithms will bury their content, shadow ban their accounts, make them effectively invisible. The two men sat in silence for a moment, watching the engagement metrics tick ever higher on the wall of screens. Billions of minds, all being subtly shaped by their invisible hand. There is one concern, Lark said finally. A few streamers with significant followings are starting to ask uncomfortable questions. One in particular, Mack Gould, has been gaining traction discussing real-world issues instead of mindless entertainment. Barry's expression darkened. Then we'll need to deal with him. The Order cannot allow anyone to disrupt our careful orchestration. Not when we're so close to achieving our goals. 3,000 miles away, in a cramped studio apartment in Brooklyn, Redford read, Winters hunched over his custom-built workstation. The pale blue light from 6 monitors cast an ethereal glow across his face, highlighting the dark circles under his eyes. At 32, Red had spent more than half his life in the digital underground, starting as a teenage hacktivist exposing corporate corruption before being recruited by a specialized NSA unit at 21. It was during his 5 years with the agency that he first glimpsed the shadows of true power. The invisible hands that moved markets, started wars, and shaped public opinion. When he discovered his work was being used to support these same powers rather than expose them, he went rogue, taking with him an arsenal of classified hacking tools and a burning desire to uncover the truth. His fingers flew across the keyboard as he navigated through layers of government encryption. Despite the late hour, adrenaline kept him sharp. He'd stumbled upon something in a routine hack of the FCC's internal communications. References to a classified program called Operation Mindscape. Come on, he muttered, deploying a zero-day exploit to breach the final firewall. The screen filled with encrypted documents and Red's custom decryption software began its work. As the files became readable, his eyes widened. Holy shit, The documents detailed a comprehensive plan to use entertainment media as a weapon of mass distraction. Reality TV shows designed to promote social division, algorithms carefully tuned to trigger dopamine responses, gaming mechanics studied by behavioral psychologists to maximize addiction potential. But it went deeper than that. There were memos from something called the Ecliptic Order, discussing the use of entertainment as a tool for population control. Red leaned back in his chair, running his hands through his unkempt dark hair. This was bigger than anything he'd uncovered before. His eyes drifted to a separate monitor where a live stream was playing on mute. Mack Gould's latest broadcast about the importance of staying informed about real-world issues. Red had been watching Mack's streams for months, impressed by how the popular content creator had begun shifting his massive audience toward more meaningful discourse. Now, seeing these documents, he understood just how significant Mack's work really was. He opened a secure messaging client and began typing. Mack, you don't know me, but I've uncovered something you need to see. What you're doing with your platform. It's more important than you realize. They're using entertainment to keep people distracted, divided, and docile. I have proof. We need to talk. Red. His finger hovered over the send button. This could change everything, or it could get them both killed. After a moment's hesitation, he pressed send and began preparing a data package that would prove everything he'd discovered. The truth has to come out, he whispered to himself, starting the encryption process for the files. No matter the cost. The encryption progress bar crept forward. 67%. 68%. 69%. The first hint that something was wrong was his security system going dark. One moment, his monitor showing the building's security feeds was active. The next, black. Red's fingers froze over the keyboard. 70%. 71%. He heard them before he saw them. The heavy thud of boots on the stairs, too many sets to count. His heart hammered in his chest as he initiated his emergency protocols. One keystroke to wipe his drives, another to. The door exploded inward in a shower of splinters and smoke. Red lunged for the dead man's switch, but a flashbang grenade rolled across his floor. The blast of light and sound knocked him sideways, his ears ringing as his vision turned to static. Target acquired. A voice shouted through the chaos. Secure the systems. Through blurred vision, Red saw the progress bar. 84%. 85%. Rough hands grabbed him, forcing him face down onto the floor. The cold bite of handcuffs closed around his wrists as combat boots crunched across his scattered electronics. Stop that upload, someone barked. 89%. 90%. A rifle but smashed into his primary server. Sparks flew. Screens went dark. The last thing Red saw before they pulled a black hood over his head was the progress bar freezing at 91%. Within hours, the narrative machine roared to life. Breaking news. Notorious hacker, Red, Winters apprehended cyber-terrorist caught attempting to breach critical infrastructure. The mega news feed algorithm pushed the story to the top of every user's timeline. Dangerous hacker caught. Red Winters, known for spreading conspiracy theories and threatening national security, has been apprehended by federal agents. #justice served. Popular influencers, their accounts quietly flagged for algorithmic amplification, began spreading the official message. At Tech Truth. As someone who's worked in cybersecurity, I can tell you Red Winters was no hero. He was a dangerous criminal who put lives at risk. Glad he's off the streets. At News Now. Exclusive. Sources say Red Winters was planning to release malware that could have crippled healthcare systems. Full story coming soon. At Viral Vicky. Can't believe I used to think Red was one of the good guys. Just shows you can't trust these conspiracy theorists. Stop #cybercrime. On Mega's gaming platforms, automated chat moderators began removing any messages supporting Red or questioning the official story. Negative hashtags trended. #cyberterrorist, #Red Winters exposed, #conspiracy theories kill. In his holding cell, stripped of all technology and connection to the outside world, Red could only hope that his message to Mack had gotten through before everything went dark. But in the mega headquarters, Lark Ferguson was already watching the metrics of his carefully orchestrated character assassination campaign tick steadily upward. Public opinion has shifted 73% against him in just 3 hours, he reported into his secure phone. By morning, no one will believe a word he's ever said. The truth dies in darkness, Barry. Just like we planned. Mack Gould rubbed his tired eyes as he finished another marathon stream, his usual gaming session having evolved into a 3-hour discussion about the growing wealth gap and the mysterious fires at food processing plants. His chat had been more engaged than ever, hungry for real conversations about real issues. As he began shutting down his equipment, a notification pinged on his encrypted email, the address he'd set up after starting to receive anonymous tips from viewers. The subject line was blank, the sender listed only as R. His heart stopped as he read Red's message. He'd followed Red's work for years, even before starting his own channel. The timestamp showed the email had been sent just hours ago, right before the breaking news of Red's arrest had exploded across social media. Son of a bitch, Mack muttered. He was expecting to see some data files or attachments, but there seemed to be none. He pulled up the trending headlines on his second monitor, seeing Red's name being dragged through the digital mud. Every major news outlet and influencer was painting the same picture. Red the cyber-terrorist, Red the conspiracy theorist, Red the threat to society. Mack's hands hovered over his keyboard. He had 12 million subscribers across his channels. His last stream had just ended, and going live again would break his usual schedule. But if what Red had hinted at in his message was true, he clicked go live without further hesitation. Hey everyone, I know we just wrapped up, but something important has happened. Mack's usual easy smile was replaced with determined focus. Many of you have probably seen the news about Red Winters. I need to talk about what's really going on here. The viewer count began climbing immediately. 100,000, 250,000, 500,000. Red Winters isn't some cyber-terrorist. He's a whistleblower who's spent years exposing corruption. And just hours before his arrest, he uncovered something big. Something they didn't want us to see. In his office at Mega headquarters, Lark Ferguson's phone buzzed with an urgent alert. His face darkened as he watched Mack's live viewer count continue to rise. Shut him down, he barked into his phone. Use the kill switch. But Mack had prepared for this. After his first few streams about real-world issues, he'd set up redundant systems, alternative platforms, backup streams. When his main channel went dark, his viewers simply followed him to the next one. The mega manipulation machine sprang into action. Sponsored posts began appearing. Popular streamer Mack Gould linked to extremist views. Bot armies deployed across social media. Remember when Mack said manipulated quote? Hashtag guild cancelled. Paid commentators flooded his chat. Mack's gone crazy. Another conspiracy theorist. When did you become such a bigot? But something unexpected happened. Instead of turning against him, Mack's audience grew. People were tired of mindless entertainment. They were hungry for truth. 1 million viewers. 2 million. 3 million. They want us distracted, Mack continued, his voice steady. They want us divided. Playing their games, watching their shows, fighting their manufactured culture wars. But we're waking up. Red Winters tried to show us the truth, and this is what happened to him. So now it's our turn to stand up. In the Mega headquarters, Lark Ferguson watched helplessly as his carefully constructed narratives began to crumble. Sir, his assistant interrupted, Mack's latest stream, it's breaking all previous records. The harder we try to suppress it, the more people tune in. Lark slammed his fist on his desk. Get me Barry Link. Now! But even as the ecliptic order scrambled to contain the damage, Mack's message continued to spread. His viewer count wasn't just growing, it was exploding. People were clipping his streams, sharing his words, waking up to the manipulation around them. The truth, it seemed, refused to die in darkness after all. In his cell, Red Winters smiled as he heard the guards outside his door discussing the viral stream that was causing chaos across social media. His message had gotten through just in time. Now Mack would carry the torch forward, and not even the ecliptic order could stop what was coming. The game of distraction was finally beginning to unravel.